So this week we got some potentially big news for Mac fans in the form of a report that kind of gave us a glimpse at what 2019 will look like for the Mac. And the three headline products are a 32-inch 6K display, a new Mac Pro that we knew was coming, and the most surprising and the most interesting, a 16-inch or 16.5-inch MacBook Pro. So a larger MacBook Pro than we've seen in a long time. So that's what we're gonna dig into today and kind of see and speculate what that MacBook Pro might actually look like. So the report itself comes from Ming-Chi Kuo, who's a really well-regarded source in the industry in the Apple world, and it was delivered to Mac Rumors. And even though this is still just rumors, it's still just hearsay for sure, you know, it's coming from a very trustworthy source as far as I'm concerned, and we always get these reports every year that gives a really good idea of what Apple is up to, especially in the Mac world. So basically we got two bits of information from this report in regards to this new MacBook Pro. The first is the size, which again is either going to be a 16-inch or a 16.5-inch. That's the screen size. Now this is really interesting. This would be the largest display we're seeing on a MacBook Pro in a long time, since 2012, back when, you remember when everybody had a 17-inch laptop? The MacBook Pro 17 hasn't been touched since then. It's kind of been retired with a lot of laptops in that screen size. But maybe we're seeing a bit of a resurgence. You know, we have seen laptops like the LG Gram 17 coming out that have slim bezels and kind of managed to fit that screen size into a little bit more of a palatable footprint. So maybe Apple is seeing that and wanting to bring that larger screen size to pro users who could actually do something with that screen real estate. The second bit of information that we're getting from this report is that this will be a redesign of the MacBook Pro. What does that mean? Well, at least we can assume that means it's not going to be just your typical processor bump that we've seen in the past couple years in 2018 and 2017. Instead, this is going to be more like 2016 when this laptop came out. It's where we got the touch bar, it's where we got the different port selection and the brand new keyboard. Basically, we're gonna assume that this 2019 MacBook Pro is gonna go back to these elements and give us the next step of evolution in them, or just completely overhaul them altogether. Or, most excitingly, it could bring some brand new features that we haven't even heard of that Apple's been working on. What we don't know is whether or not this potential 16-inch MacBook Pro will actually replace the 15-inch MacBook Pro, because currently that's the largest and most high-end and most powerful option in the lineup, and it'd be kind of odd to have both of them there when they're both so similar in size. What I think is going to happen is a complete overhaul of the entire MacBook Pro lineup, including the 13-inch model, which should either be replaced or updated in a significant way, because the non-touch bar 13-inch MacBook Pro actually hasn't been updated since 2017. It got completely skipped last year. So even just in terms of specs and processor, it's starting to look pretty old, and I'd be really surprised if Apple didn't give us at least a processor bump, but hopefully a complete overhaul of that unit also. So I don't have any insider info on what Apple is bringing to this new MacBook Pro, but I do have some thoughts on what they could do. My first thought is that we could see them finally fix this keyboard issue for real this time. The 2018 update to the MacBook Pro replaced this with the keyboard with the 3rd gen butterfly mechanism keyboard, which basically just added in a little plastic membrane to fix all the problems and issues they've been having with these keyboards, with getting dust inside. And we've seen some patents come through from Apple about preventing that from happening. So I really would be surprised if we didn't get a brand new keyboard this year that fixed that problem altogether. I doubt Apple will actually say that though, because they're very hesitant to bring it up, but I'm pretty sure we're gonna see something that finally resolves that issue for the MacBook Pro keyboard. My second thought is a little more out there, but stay with me. What if Apple is working on bringing an OLED panel to this 16-inch MacBook Pro? You know, we've already seen Apple use OLED panels a lot in their mobile devices, on the iPad and the iPhone, and we're finally starting to see OLED panels show up in laptops this year. On the Windows side of things, we've seen a bunch of them announced at CES this year. So potentially, you know, if Apple is working with the suppliers out there for OLED, we could see a super vibrant OLED panel on a MacBook Pro, which I realize there are all sorts of issues with that people bring up, like burn-in, battery life, and obviously price. But I think it would be actually a pretty good fit for this high-end Pro premium device. if Apple can make it work. So maybe an OLED panel on a MacBook Pro. I don't know, it'd be pretty cool if you ask me. A couple other quick thoughts I had. I'd really like to see some kind of facial recognition, Face ID, come to the MacBook Pro. It's been a long time now that Windows has had Windows Hello support on a lot of laptops out there, and Apple's kind of behind on that. And we already know they have the technology for their mobile devices. So really like to see Face ID come to the MacBook Pro finally. And then lastly, the touch bar. I wish they could fix it. I don't know how, I don't know what they would do, but I really wish that they could make it more useful. So hopefully we'll see that. So when is this going to be announced? When are we going to hear more about this new MacBook Pro? Well, really there's only a couple of possibilities as long as it's coming this year. The first is WWDC, which is Apple's big developer conference, which happens in June. We could see something there. And then we could also see something in the fall, like the October-ish time of the year, which is typically when we see Mac hardware updates. It's when we got the Mac Mini and MacBook Air announcement last year. It's also when the 2016 MacBook Pro update got announced. It was in the fall. So that's more likely, but maybe we'll get something as early as WWDC. I hope so. Either way, it looks like it's gonna be a big year for the Mac. And hey, it's been a long time since we could say that. So what do you guys think of this potential new 16-inch MacBook Pro? Is this something you're interested in? What do you think Apple's game plan is with this entire MacBook Pro lineup this year? Let us know in the comments, and make sure to hit subscribe if you want to see more videos from Digital Trends.